Good evening. We begin tonight with shocking revelations about the woman known as the Crypto Queen. Ruja Ignatova once celebrated.
Authorities describe the Onecoin scheme as a pyramid wrapped in crypto promises. Here in Sofia, former staff of...
You knew she was running it. You just didn't expect her to disappear before the applause stopped.
The lights dimmed. A hush fell. And then a promise cut through the room like a knife.
The world's most wanted woman.
The Crypto Queen.
A new coin for the people, a clean break from chaos, a shortcut to wealth. That's how it always starts. Quiet confidence, bright lipstick, and a smile built to lower your guard.
My dearest fans, this victory is truly ours.
She spoke about revolution like it was a product launch, about freedom like it could be mined from code.
Together, we are building a new financial future.
And for one charged moment, the crowd believed the future had walked into the room wearing heels and charisma. If you watch this video to the end, you'll see how one woman sold a fantasy so powerful it rewired logic itself, and how she vanished before the applause even stopped. She didn't stumble into this. She engineered it. A gifted student, a relentless overachiever, the right schools, the right rooms, the right lines on a resume. That polish wasn't an accident. It was armor. She studied the culture of money and the psychology of crowds. She learned how attention works, how trust forms, and how greed hides behind optimism. She understood that people don't invest in technology, they invest in emotion. They invest in stories that promise to fix what feels broken inside them. Greed rarely screams. It whispers. It whispers, "Don't miss out." And that whisper sounds like love when you've been losing for years. She built a brand around certainty. No volatility, no friction, no complicated jargon. Just sign up and win. It sounded so simple, it had to be true. She called it the anti-Bitcoin. Safer, simpler, smarter. The people's coin. When she took the stage, she didn't just speak, she performed. Spotlights bloomed, cameras clicked, red dresses glowed beneath the heat. Every gesture said, "Trust me." Every pause said, "You're about to change your life." And people believed her because she looked like someone who had already escaped the struggle they were still living in. Then came the perfect storm. Crypto hype fused with multi-level marketing. The pitch was hypnotic. Learn, share, earn. Education packages were sold with free tokens attached. If you sold a package, you earned. If your recruit sold one, you earned again. The deeper the network went, the faster the illusion spread. Dashboards filled with rising numbers, profits that never fell, screens that always glowed green. Hope looked like a login page. Success looked like a balance update. And behind it all was a database, a glorified spreadsheet, not a blockchain. The numbers moved because someone behind the curtain decided they should. It wasn't innovation, it was theater. And every time belief started to fade, a system upgrade or new version brought it roaring back. In hotel ballrooms and arena floors, the story spread like wildfire. The air smelled of perfume, ambition, and borrowed confidence. Music thundered, spotlights carved halos over believers, and when the woman in red spoke, logic stepped aside. Friends recruited friends, families turned into sales teams, churches became marketing hubs. Trust moved faster than facts. To question the dream was to betray it. To doubt her was to doubt yourself. That's the psychology of belonging. It doesn't just blind you, it binds you. She played her role with precision. Doctor, visionary, savior. She didn't just sell a coin, she sold identity. To the crowd, she wasn't a CEO. She was the proof that power could look like them, sound like them, and finally include them. People sold land, emptied accounts, mortgaged futures, not because they were greedy, but because they were tired of waiting for a miracle that never came. And when someone finally offered one, they grabbed it with both hands.
When the supply capped, she smiled and announced a new chain. More coins, same price, fresh hope. Investors cheered, economists winced, and reason quietly left the room. Coins doubled overnight, the illusion deepened, and as long as the website showed growth, belief didn't need evidence. In her empire, doubt was the only sin. But cracks were forming. Journalists started asking questions. Coders tested the ledger. There was no public blockchain, no independent exchange, no record that matched reality. The auditor was hand-picked. The transactions were staged. The whole system was a script. And still, the crowd defended it. Because once you've sold the dream to people you love, you'll fight anyone who calls it fake. The truth wasn't the enemy. The truth was too expensive to admit.
Meanwhile, the money was moving. Shell companies across continents, wire transfers through tax havens, apartments stacked with cash, private jets, secret accounts, whispers in corridors of power. She had built her own shadow economy. And when the banks started freezing assets, she built new ones overseas. The world is big if you can afford to disappear. Then it all cracked. The exchange went under maintenance. Withdrawals froze. Investors panicked. Leaders repeated the script. It's fine, big news soon. But weeks turned into silence. The stage lights went dark. And then, just like that, she was gone. No statement, no goodbye. Just a flight, a car, a vanished signal. Offices were raided, servers seized. The blockchain dissolved into smoke. Behind the slogans were empty databases and vanished funds. The revolution had never been coded, it had only been sold. The collapse wasn't just financial, it was personal. Families broke apart, friends stopped speaking. People who recruited others carried guilt heavier than debt. A teacher who convinced her students, a son who persuaded his parents, a pastor who brought his congregation. The wreckage was emotional as much as economic. One victim said, "I didn't lose money, I lost my reflection." That line became the unspoken obituary of millions. Investigators followed the trails. Arrests came. Informants flipped. Money was traced through shell firms and fake invoices. Some of her inner circle fell, others vanished too. But the center of the web, the woman who started it all, was gone. Rumors replaced facts. Surgery, disguise, a new name, a yacht anchored in a place without extradition. Some claim she was dead. Others swore they'd seen her in new cities. But the only consistent truth was absence. And somewhere in that absence lay one haunting detail, those USB drives. Early Bitcoin, traded in the early days of the scheme. Back then, worth millions. Today, billions. The so-called Bitcoin killer might be one of Bitcoin's biggest ghosts. Irony doesn't blink. It keeps score. How could so many fall for it? Because this wasn't about math. It was about the human condition. The world was tired, broke, and desperate for a shortcut. She offered hope disguised as innovation. For years, wages stagnated, dreams shrank, and faith in institutions died. One woman stood up and said, "You deserve more." And millions heard what they wanted to hear. Scams don't start with lies. They start with longing. People don't crave truth. They crave control over what feels true. We protect what rewards us, we ignore what corrects us. And the most successful cons understand this perfectly. They don't sell products, they sell permission to believe. That's dark psychology in daylight. It doesn't need villains, it just needs mirrors.
So what do we do with this story? We don't give up on progress. We just stop confusing confidence with credibility. Real blockchains can be verified by strangers. Real markets breathe, they rise and fall. Real leaders don't punish questions, they welcome them. Transparency that fears daylight is camouflage, not truth. When profit depends on silence, the silence becomes part of the scam. If you lost money, you're not stupid. You're human. You wanted freedom, not fantasy. You chased hope, not greed. And someone turned that into fuel. But remember this, the next con won't look like this one. It will be slicker, smarter, safer. It'll speak softly and promise protection. It'll make you feel seen. That's how it always begins. The only defense is doubt, the kind that asks for proof, not promises. If you've stayed this long, you've already done more than most. You chose to understand, not just react. Drop a comment below. Tell me what you learned, what you'd change, and what you'll never fall for again. Because the only way to kill a scam is to talk about it. Here's the final truth, the one that lands after the music fades. The greatest con artist in your life isn't the one on stage. It's the voice in your head that whispers, "This time, the shortcut won't cost you." And that whisper, if you let it, can turn hope into history again.